As you will. This is a story about two kids, Tony and Nick, and well, actually three kids, Tony, Nick, and Peter. And Tony and Nick are brothers, and right now Tony's heading out a window to sort of do some kind of night game competition thing that Tony and Nick have with one another. And the real important thing is getting to the abject sexuality, so let's just do that. I climbed the window and made my way around the shrubs under the cherry tree where I knew my bare feet would be smeared with blood-red fruit to the back of the silk-smooth car. I peeled around the trunk and saw Tony backed against the box elder tree next to Mr. D's front porch, the whitewashed walls and sickly yellow plastic awning I knew too well to be repulsed by. The radio perched on the railing glowed amber like a warning light. Tony was rubbing his arms all over his body as if in panic. I ran up to him, keeping low, out of sight. "Hey," I said, giving him a start. "Why didn't you do it?" "You scared me," he said. "There's all these stupid firebugs." Oh, and Peter D has a lisp, or a speech impediment, so that'll count. I didn't notice, but I too had begun unconsciously brushing the bugs from my legs, swatting them from my limbs. "Let's just do it and get out of here. I don't care about the radio, I just want to go back. Come on, we're doing it." I got down on all fours, crept around the girth of the tree. I was about to sneak up the steps and turn the knob on the cardboard-bound radio when Mr. D called out, "Go on, get! Go wait on the porch." I was behind the tree before he finished yelling at Peter D, and Peter D appeared on the front porch, the screen door knocking shut behind him. He sat on the bottom step, shirtless, slumped over, arms folded on his knees. He looked over at us and, as if he knew we were there all along, said, "Hey guys, I can't play. My dad has a fuendovo." I said, "We wanted to." "Why are you two dressed like that? You look like a couple of spooks." "What's a spook?" Tony asked, like we were having a conversation. "It's what my dad calls a ghost. You know, like Casper." "Yeah, Casper," I said. There were burns high on Peter D's thigh, under a pair of faded nylon shorts that bulged thick with pain. Some were healed, some rested like swollen maggots on his leg. He curled over and picked at his toenails. His feet were dirty, layers of filth that had been wetted and not wiped off. He smelled like a blanket left in the rain. Tony spoke. "What happened to your legs?" "Nothing." "What about those scars?" Without looking, Peter D said, "I did that with my dad's Lido in a broken hango." "Does it hurt?" "At first, when it's hot." He examined his legs as if looking for something new. "Does it hurt now?" Tony asked. "If I touch them, see?" And he slapped his upper thigh with two fingers, winced like it wasn't planned. "But it's not as bad as when it's hot." The limbs of the box elder tree had a sparse cover of waxy leaves twisting in the breeze, backlit by a waning moon. I imagined six-legged figures haunting and desirous, crawling into the window we left open. Tony pulled his arms into his shirt and backed away from the tree, from Peter D and the concrete steps. If the bugs were crawling on us, we didn't brush them away. Inside, a wooden chair rattled across the gray floor. Mr. D's oak table banged against the wall, and a maelstrom of tipped bottles and breaking glass erupted from the kitchen. All three of us peered through the storm door. Mr. D pressed his lady friend against the kitchen table, kissed her hard. Peter D looked over his shoulder once and brought his chin back to the palms of his hands. Tony and I stared, knowing we should look away. Mr. D's hands scanned her thighs, clutched at the length of her skirt that even I knew was too short. He grappled with her underwear and peeled them down her legs. He spun her body and pushed her, bent her over, held a hand on her back while he fought with his belt buckle and button fly. I pulled Tony away just as he worked himself inside her. Peter D said something about a BB gun, and I thought Tony might reply. His face was red, swollen, and sweating tears. I leaned on the tree, and a dead shield with bark the size of my chest cracked and broke away. A colony of firebugs, box elders, Borsea trivittata, spilled on our feet and shins. The horde was enormous, inescapable, as if the very surface of the tree had become animated. Tony let out a single cry, a pip, and tripped into the mass of crawling life. I pulled him off the ground and we sprinted barefoot for the window and slipped into the solace of our bedroom. Inside we turned on the light, backs to each other, stripped off our shirts and briefs, and shook out our clothes. We crushed any fallen bugs into the hard, braided carpet and quickly shut the window. I got Tony a new shirt and underwear when he refused the same clothes. I pulled my shirt over my head and shut out the light, slid into my coarse cotton sheets. After a few minutes, Tony asked me if I was still awake. I ain't snoring, am I? He limped out of bed and tiptoed across the corpse-ridden floor. He pulled back my sheet without asking, crawled into my bed. I slid over to give him some room. Hey, Nick? Yeah, Tone. Did you step on the cherries too? Yeah, Tone. Do you think it will stain the sheets? It doesn't matter if it does. He didn't speak after that. I woke up in the middle of the night with Tony still in bed with me. His chest swelled with the rhythm of his breathing. It was strange, him being in my bed. I didn't mind him there, but he seemed to be a great distance away. I called his name a couple of times, but he was much too far to hear me.